Mike Owens here. Today I'm joined by Chris Daukaus, who returns to action August 12th, facing Khalil Rountree Jr. Chris, always a pleasure, my man. How are things with you today?
Everything's going good, man. It's always a pleasure talking to you.
100%, 100%. The last time we spoke was you were due to have the fight with Rountree all the way back in June. I think there was a little bit of a mix-up with you, and I unfortunately asked you, I think I sent you a good luck message, and you said you were off the card, so my apologies for that.
It's all good.
What was the nature of the injury?
It was just a small injury. I had something. I don't want to divulge the information.
Yeah, 100%.
But I spoke with multiple doctors. I spoke with the UFC doctor as well. I had one doctor who was telling me that I had to get a small procedure done. Nothing crazy, nothing super invasive. Literally in and out of the doctor's office under my own power the same day. I had a doctor telling me that I could do the procedure on a Thursday. I could have flown out Monday, and I could have fought on Saturday. But with speaking with the UFC doctor, along with I think it was 3 or 4 other doctors, they kind of superseded the one doctor who was telling me that I could have fought. They just said, might as well just properly do the recovery time. The recovery time in which was for the injury that I had was 2 to 4 weeks, depending on who you talk to. So we spoke to the UFC. I was on the phone with the doctor. I was in the doctor's office getting checked out on the phone with the UFC doctor. So he was 100% behind everything. He was they were fully aware of everything that was going on, and collectively they decided to push the fight back. So
what was the break in terms of layoff, and how did you structure kind of the end of the fight camp for June and the beginning of the fight camp for August?
So it was a little weird, right? So I was gearing up and getting ready to make weight the next week when I got the news that I would not be fighting. So we were still figuring everything out. I want to say that Thursday, maybe Wednesday to Thursday before the original bout was scheduled. We were figuring everything out with the doctors and everything. Really, once we figured out the game plan and the procedures and everything that had to be done for the minor injury that I had, we figured it out. I took the recommended a lot of time to recover is 2 to 4 weeks, right? I couldn't have really any impacts. And once again, after this fight, post-fight speech, everything like that, and interviews with the media, I'll certainly let everyone know what the injury was. But just going into the fight and just everything, I just don't really want it out there.
Makes total sense.
Yeah, nothing major, but during that time, I couldn't have any kind of real contact, like real hard contact. I could do drilling and different things like that. So stayed away from all the hard contact, the really grueling rounds for the allotted times was 2 weeks. Kept the weight down, and then once we got the clearance from the doctor, we right back into it. So no real breaks. I mean, the intensity was dialed down, but as far as game planning and working on specific things, we were still doing.
Yeah, no, that's good to hear, 100%. Can you remember roughly the timeline when you got the contract for the first Khalil Rountree fight? When would that roughly have been?
Yeah. So the time frame was generally lost to Rosenstrike. That was at the end of the year. UFC wanted me to make a turnaround, and they actually wanted me to fight on the UFC London card, which was March, right? It was the March, I want to say the 28th or 26th or something like that. I told the UFC no. My only reasoning behind it was, one, just coming off the Rosenstrike loss, wanted to heal up a bit, but also was the fact that I never made 205 before. So after the Rosenstrike fight, I let the UFC know. I let all the head guys know that I would be, in fact, making that cut down to 205. They said, okay, cool, no problem. Here's a guy. We figured, it was a great name for me. I don't want to give the name out just because when I win this fight, I'll definitely call him out, and then we'll go from there. But it was a ranked guy, and I just said I can't do it. I didn't want to sign a contract, be obligated, and it never be my first time. And and I never made 205 before, so I didn't want to take away from my opponent and get a bunch of money taken away from me. And then the disrespect that I felt like I would have given the fighter of not making weight. So I just told UFC that I just wanted to, make weight first before that. I made weight around that time. I would say April. It was probably right after that fight would have happened that I got the ball for Khalil for the first one.
Yeah. So you've had the same name on your mind.
I had the
last
same
4
name,
months.
yeah.
So a lot of fighters talk to me and they say it can be difficult. They say you go to sleep at night thinking about your opponent and stuff like that.
I think about him every single day. Every single day I think about him.
So has that been a difficult thing? Because normally it's say 8 to 10 weeks, and you've probably had this for the best part of, or it will be 4 months by the time it gets to the actual fight night. Has that been a difficult process, and how have you managed that?
Yeah, it certainly is a little difficult, thinking about this one person and thinking about this singular event for, like you said, it'll probably be close to 4 months. And I really just, take it one day at a time. If we're working a specific thing, that's, really what I want to do. And that's what we do for that day. And it's really like Groundhog Day, man. Like, it's just rinse and repeat over and over again. But I'll think about him until I fight him. And then if for whatever reason this fight falls through for whatever reason, the world ends, he stubs his toe going to the gym, whatever, and he's out, I'll still think about him until I get a new name. That's just the way that I am. I'm okay with thinking about guys for that long. It's more so about the drilling sessions and everything like that. It's just about maintaining that focus for what seems like forever. You know what I mean? Like, I took a little break as far as like the hard training when I learned about the injury and everything like that, and we were told that the fight wasn't going to happen. So that kind of was like a little mental reset. I was dealing with this was the first fight I had to pull out due to an injury. So it was kind of a little strange because I felt like I could fight and compete, but the doctors didn't feel like I should be able to compete. So yeah, I mean, that little reset was good. And I think that little reset for that week, that 2 weeks was what I needed. And I'm, focused as usual.
Yeah, no, 100%. With that being said, how's the weight?
Weight's good, man. This morning I was like under 230, like 225. So I could eat a little bit, it's good. But, from doing the test cuts and getting my weight down from the last scheduled fight, it's really not that big of a deal for me. Just my body type. From speaking with a couple people, both in the UFC who were, dietitians and stuff, they said that I could probably make 85. I don't want to do that. Like, I really don't want to do that. So as of now, 205, chrisdaukaus is good to go. But yeah, I mean, once I figure out the regimen, I'm pretty good at sticking to a regimen. Like, if I have to eat the same thing every single day for 8 weeks, it's gonna suck, but I'll deal with it. So it's no big deal for me, man. I'm a creature of habit.
The same guy who told you that at the FCPI must have been the same guy in Jared Cannonier's ear, because he made the same trip down heavyweight, light heavy.
You ain't kidding.
Then middleweight.
You ain't kidding. I might win this and just be like, I'm just going 85 and just be Jared Cannonier, I'd be like the wish list Jared Cannonier. This dude. He pretty much laid the blueprint on to get to the title fight and everything like that. So dude's a beast. He was really good, and it's really cool.
In a similar vein, I had a similar conversation earlier on the week with Nathaniel Wood, who'll be on the upcoming London card this Saturday. He's obviously moved from bantamweight to featherweight, and he told me, he said, I know that the guys at featherweight are bigger and probably stronger than me, but I'm faster than them.
Yeah.
So what is the ability that you feel like you have going the other way, going down a weight class?
I think my speed just transfers that much better. And I think that, if I'm going by the numbers as far as in the weight room, talking to the guys, sparring with the guys, and, what they say that I feel a lot stronger. They say that I hit harder a little bit. So it's It's good, man. I think all that translates. It's something that, I'm really excited about. I'm really excited to test, my skill set at 205, and yeah, it's going to be more dangerous in the fact that, you know, if you think about it, heavyweights aren't that keen on kicking, just because of the nature of the beast, right? You could have a guy who's technically superior to the next guy, but if I throw a lazy kick and I eat one of somebody's ginormous lunchbox right hand in my face, that's the end of it. So, we'll see. I mean, we'll see how this goes, but those are the really, I'm really excited to show off the speed, and I think the power translates.
Yeah.
And I was knocking guys out at heavyweight, so it was good.
Yeah. Obviously, you haven't made your debut at 205 yet, but there's a lot of contention about who's the best 205er. So I can ask you this question without you saying Chris Daukaus, since technically you're not a light heavyweight yet.
Okay, that's right. That's right.
Who's the best 205er on the planet?
Well, the best 205er on the planet right now, you'd have to be the champ, right? And Hill is the champ. Well, he just vacated, right? Because he injured. So as of 4 days ago, he was the best. So I would say him, but outside of him, I mean, Nemkov is pretty good, right? Nemkov is 205. Yeah, I mean that dude's pretty good. Him, and then you got Yuri. Dude, a safe bet. I'm just gonna say that Hill, as of now, is the best 205 on the planet. We'll see what happens with Jan and Pereira. So we'll see, because that's a title fight, right? Is that
No,
an interim? Did they make that official yet?
Well, I was going to ask you about that. That hasn't been. There was a rumor on the UFC website. I think there was a typo saying it was for the world title, but it's now been confirmed.
Yeah, that's what I've seen, right? Oh, all right. Well then, hey,
do you think it should be?
I mean, sure, why not? Why not? If I'm either of those guys, yeah, obviously yes. Everybody else in the division, you can make a claim. We'll see who else, would make a claim to be like, oh, I should fight for the title. But I mean, 205 belt seems cursed, right? You get the belt, you get a major injury. So we'll see. We'll see how the rest of this year plays out. Because Hill is he ruptured his Achilles, right? So that's like a major thing. So I'm not expecting him to come back, but yeah, we'll see how this year plays out. All right, cool.
We're talking a little bit there about the UFC light heavyweight title picture. I was speaking to John Anik earlier about this, actually. We were talking about the fact that Jamahal Hill's vacated, and obviously the pattern at 205 had previously Yuri doing the same thing off his shoulder dislocation. And injured champions can go a lot of different ways sometimes. Some like to hold on to the belt, some like to do the honourable thing and vacate for the others in the division. What is your opinion on Jamahal vacating the title while he's going to be absent?
I think it's the right thing to do. I think if you're a champ and you suffer a major injury like the last two 205 champs have done, and that you're going to be out for like a year or maybe longer than a year, absolutely. Yes, everyone's selfish, and I'm the champ. I should keep my belt. Yeah, but just vacate the belt, let the division continue on. You're going to get the belt. You're going to get the title fight as soon as you come back. That's the only stipulation that I would have. If I was in his position, I would say, okay, I'll vacate, but when I come back and when I sign a fight, the fight is for the belt. It's my belt. I vacated it out of respect for the division, keeping the division going, and that's the only thing that I would ask in return. Instead of doing the whole, I'm holding the division up. There's going to be interim champs and all this. Just listen. Take the belt. No big deal. When I come back, just let me fight for the belt.
Yeah, 100%. We've obviously next week talking about belts. We've got the BMF title in action down at 155. Dustinpoirier versus Justingaethje. If you were to match up a BMF title for the UFC light heavyweight division, who would be your two names? Reminder, you're not a UFC light heavyweight, so I can ask you this question.
That's right. So taking me out of it, dude, I don't know, man. I don't know. Like, there's really I mean, you got to give me a name or something. You give me like an opponent, and then
Shall I give you one, and you give me an
Yes.
opponent?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll go Anthony Smith. Anthony Smith fought for a UFC light heavyweight title, could have won a world title on disqualification, chose not to take that belt. I think that's a BMF move, and has fought everybody and anybody at the top of the division.
Yeah. And I'm trying to think of like anyone else who's like on that like level in the 205-pound division. Dude, I don't know. I mean, like Jiri, I guess, just because obviously he's a former champ, but he's also like a bad dude. Like he's out in the woods, like training by himself, like punching trees. Like he's in the fight no matter what. He's always in crazy fights. I think those are really, yeah, that would have to be my answer, because no one else really sticks out of my mind. Like, and the 205 is like a blood and guts kind of guy. So yeah, definitely am.
Maybe you can say yourself into that picture.
Maybe we'll see. We'll see.
We'll turn the conversation back to yourself for one final question, Chris. Obviously, we talked we talked about this fight prior to the cancellation in June.
Yep.
What is it you're looking to accomplish with this fight? Obviously, the win is of prime importance. I'm not asking you to that, but past that, what is the essential goal? Is it about righting the wrongs of the previous losses? Is it about establishing yourself at 205? What's the key thing you're looking to get out of August 12th?
It's really just getting the win, like you said. Obviously, that is the number one factor, but it's also establishing myself at 205 as a true contender. I think that the splash I made at heavyweight was just a little preview of what what could have been and what should have been doing since I got signed to the UFC. I should have just put the ego in check from day one. And just made it to 205. But obviously you live and you learn. So yeah, that's really just to solidify myself as like, I'm a real threat. Like this is it, man. Like it's not going to be like, this is another name. You know what I mean? Like this is like when that name comes across people's phone, they're like, come on, man. Like that's what I want to accomplish. That's what I want to showcase when I get the win.
I love it. Chris, it's great to see you booked and back in action. It really is. Great to catch up with you today. If we don't speak before, then I wish you the best of luck for your upcoming fight.
Thanks, man. Absolutely, man. I'll talk to you, brother. Be